Hello, hello, hello. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Matt Carlson. I'm the Director of UX Design for Education, Fonts, and Drawing at Adobe, and this is our 8th and final session in our 2023-2024 Design Career Speaker Series. Adobe is working with the California Department of Education and the AME Institute to share different perspectives on design and pathways into design careers. So design is an incredibly broad career path, encompassing graphic design, branding, creative direction, user experience design, illustration, AI design, and more. In this series, we've attempted to show a range of these different roles over the course of all these sessions. So we've asked each speaker to talk about their career path and how they came to design, then focus in on their work, showing you what they do and how they do it. And each one of these speakers, including myself, was once a high school student, trying to figure out what they wanted to do. And we want to help you with your path. We'll leave time for discussions at the end, and we'd love to hear any questions that you have. Just throw them in the chat. I'm so excited to introduce you to today's speakers, Kelly Weldon and Veronica Chen. Kelly is a staff experience designer focused on generative AI in video and audio, and Veronica Chen is a senior experience designer on our GenAI product, Firefly. Veronica and Kelly are going to close out our season, and take it away, Kelly.
Hey, thank you, Matt. Let's start sharing here. Okay, so this story is called The Creation of Kelly, My Journey into a Career in Design. Hi, I'm Kelly Weldon. I'm a staff experience designer on the MINT, or Machine Intelligence and New Technologies team. I work on Adobe Firefly, which offers new ways to ideate, create, and communicate while improving creative workflows using generative AI. I specifically work on video and audio AI features. I'm going to show you an example of a product that I'm working on right now.
What's up, Zayun? What are you doing?
Hola, estamos trabajando en una manera fácil de traducir y doblar videos.
Wait, what?
Oh, cette traduction est générée par l'IA. I'm working on this with my team, the Speech AI team at Adobe Research.
Hi.
Can we take a sneak into what that means?
Sure, with this technology, you can upload your video and have it dub and translate into various languages. It will match your voice, and it will generate new lip motions to match those languages. Wait. Es ist ganz einfach, wir freuen uns sehr darüber. Siamo così entusiasti di questo. È facile, estamos muito animados com isso. Estamos muy entusiasmados con esto. Nous sommes très enthousiastes à ce sujet. We're so excited about this. Keep an ear out.
So you should keep an eye out for any new video and audio features that come out with Firefly. But a good question is, how did I get here? And I'll represent my journey with this image of the solar system. With each planet hop, I got closer and closer to the sun, which is where I live now. And it all started with a creative childhood. When I was a kid, there were signs that I was creative. I made movies starring my little sister, mostly sci-fi, post-apocalyptic stuff, and I did a lot of editing. I asked for every new video game console. I attempted to draw and paint. I loved reading and creative writing. I would write my own novels, or try to, and I even won an award for a short story that I wrote in the 3rd grade. But somehow I didn't see myself as a creative person. I thought myself a scientist. When I was growing up between sunny California and the Great Lakes paradise of Michigan, I had a love for animals and a fascination with the veterinary profession. I would even watch animal surgeries by vets on Animal Planet for fun and knowledge. I made a life plan along with my parents to become a veterinarian, and I worked toward that goal in every way. I started going to schools for gifted kids, planning for a biology major, and I wanted to attend Michigan State's famous veterinary program. I even started college courses in the 9th grade so that I would have an associate's degree by the time I graduated high school, and I could transfer into a bio program as a junior. When I was about to graduate high school, you can see my high school graduation in one of these photos here, I applied to just 4 colleges for their bio programs. I had a lot of confidence because I had worked for this my whole life. I felt extremely prepared. And then I got accepted to none of them. I felt like a failure. What will I do now? I had no plan B. So I went to community college and I took an elective web design class while I pursued biology. And I realized that I had a natural talent for design, and also a really heavy dislike for biology and calculus. So not only did I have a natural talent for design, but web and UX design actually benefited from my learnings and background in scientific research. So I started to shift from biology to graphic and multimedia design. And even though I was excited, I did feel some doubt. Am I creative enough to be here? Can I really help people with the skills that I'm learning here? I thought I'd be saving animals, but now I'm just designing apps and websites. My web design instructor actually suggested the interaction design program at ArtCenter College of Design. ArtCenter was founded in 1930, and it's a global leader in art and design education. Students there focus on designing human-centric solutions, which we all enjoy in the cars we drive, the shoes we wear, the phones in our pockets, and even the environments that we experience. I really loved attending Art Center. It's in Pasadena, which is near Los Angeles, and it sits across these two hilltops. It's really architecturally inspiring. So I think it's always great to be in an inspiring environment when you want to become a creative. I got to work on some really cool projects, including this one, which we named the Dell 9. Art Center brings in companies as sponsors, and they give us a creative brief, which we work on for a full semester. This particular brief was to create a product for the future mobile creative professional. This gave me real-world work experience, new colleagues to network with and connect with after college, and also a little bit of cash for a struggling college student. So this is one of the many great things that I loved and experienced when I went to Art Center. My time at Art Center was really special and transformative for me. And it's also where I found Design Matters. So Design Matters is an Art Center program that empowers and leads an ongoing exploration of art and design as a positive force in society. I've read this book called Design Emergency. And in this book, they say, design is not a miracle cure, but it is a powerful tool that can help us to address societal issues if it is applied sensitively and responsibly. So I started to take courses in the Design Matters program. That was sort of the focus of my degree. So I was learning UX design, but I was also learning how to use my design skills for good. I worked with the Aquarium of the Pacific in Long Beach, California, to design an exhibition which would help kids and families understand how they impacted marine defaunation. And marine defaunation is basically the loss of animal life in the ocean. So it was challenging because I had to take a bunch of scientific research and figure out how to communicate that to kids and families. And we did that by designing this exhibition where we had a bunch of iPad stands throughout the otter exhibition, and we could explain to kids and families how their actions impacted these animals. I also helped Homeboy Industries create merchandise and visuals to celebrate their anniversary of helping parents and individuals who are formerly incarcerated reintegrate into society. So this is an organization that exists in Los Angeles, and they have a really, really unique value proposition. This was their 25-year anniversary. So we created this interactive timeline of all the things they had achieved in that 25-year span. And you could walk up to it with your mobile phone and see videos, images, and more information. I even got to travel to Paris as an intern for Little Sun. And Little Sun strives to design and deliver affordable, clean energy solutions and inspire people to take climate action. And it was here in Paris that I had this big realization. I was there to support my team during their exhibition at the 2021 climate negotiations, which is also called COP21. The artist that we all worked for, named Olafur Eliasson, brought 12 chunks of glacial ice from Greenland and then placed them in a clock formation in the center of Paris. As I stood in front of these massive pieces of glacial ice, seeing people in awe of this message, I realized I was actually doing what I had wanted to do all along. In those days when I dreamed of becoming a veterinarian, I was making a difference. No matter how small, I was contributing, and I was using my design skills to do that. So I started to feel that sense of fulfillment that I had been desperate for. And this has been a sort of lifelong pattern for me. I really want my work to be fully fulfilling. I spend most of my days working and I want to enjoy what I do. And that's something that I think is unique in a creative career and something that I really value. But after college, I felt like I had another setback. All of my fellow students were getting really cool jobs at Google, Facebook, Snapchat, Tesla. My first job was at a small marketing agency. And I can't lie, I was kind of disappointed in myself. It felt like that moment after high school all over again, where I didn't know where life would take me. I felt like I'd failed myself, and I felt this like lack of direction because things hadn't gone the way that I'd planned. I'd worked so hard and I didn't have that big moment I expected after graduation. Nevertheless, I persevered and I did learn a lot. It wasn't my dream job, but it did change my life. I learned how to be a working professional with a real job. I got to travel to China for the first time and all around the US. I pitched and won a bid for us to be the marketing agency for the United States to all of China. So that was a pretty cool accomplishment. And I won a Shorty Award for a campaign that we did. So it wasn't my dream job, and I wasn't really excited about what I was doing every day. But I learned a lot that would help support the next steps in my career. I continued to search for an exciting job opportunity, and I found one in a really unexpected place. So at this time, I was living in Los Angeles, which is where I'm from. But throughout my life with my family, I'd moved between California and Michigan. So I'm back in California now, and in my head, I'm thinking California is the best place on earth. I never want to live anywhere else. I don't want to apply to jobs outside of the state of California. But I couldn't find a well enough paying job in Los Angeles, so I had to expand my search. I applied for a job with Pivotal Labs, which was actually in Detroit. Detroit is the home of the automotive industry, Motown, and Black house music. This was not on my 2018 bingo card, but I took the leap and I found a new home. I still live in Detroit now. And these are some photos that I've taken of downtown Detroit recently. I worked on some really cool stuff through Pivotal Labs, mostly with Ford Motor Company, which is the reason I ended up in Detroit. I even got to work on the interface for the screen in the new electric Mustang Mach-E. And then, as we all know, the pandemic hit. The world shut down, life slowed down, and I didn't have any work to do because of all the changes happening in the world. I took the time to start some new projects, one of which is this A-frame cabin that we started building near Lake Michigan. I took my design skill set and expanded upon it, and I've had some fun dipping my toes into interior design and decorating. And I had lots of time to sit in my apartment, rebrand myself, redo my portfolio, and start looking for that dream job once again. And this is when I applied to Adobe. For the first 5 years of my design career, I worked for an opportunity like this one. Adobe has been life-changing, exciting, challenging, and rewarding. I've been able to work on things that I find really fun and interesting. I've been involved in shaping the future of generative AI, and I've even been able to continue to pursue my work in design for good. I have volunteered through Adobe, collaborated with local nonprofits. So I collaborated with the Pure Heart Foundation here in Detroit, and this foundation supports kids and families of formerly incarcerated people. I've mentored aspiring designers, and I've found fulfillment by aligning my passion with my purpose. Imagine a world where every individual harnesses their unique skills and talents to make a positive impact. A world where creativity meets compassion and innovation serves the greater good. Today, I sit before you as proof that that vision is within reach. I urge each of you to seek fulfillment in your work and your passions. Reflect on the transformative power of redirection, as I experienced when I shifted from watching animal surgeries as a hobby to designing for fun outside of work. Embrace the journey of aligning your talents with your purpose. And I hope you find joy in all of your creative pursuits. Thanks so much for listening. I'm going to pass this over to Veronica.
Hi, let me share screen. Okay, can you guys see? hopefully. How's everybody doing? My name is Veronica and super glad to be here today. And huge thanks to Lisa, Matthew, AME Institute, and also California Department of Education that made this possible and brought all of us together. Currently, I'm a senior experience designer at Adobe, focusing on generative AI features such as Adobe Firefly. I'm also on the machine intelligence and new technology design team, same as Kelly. And creativity has been a big theme in my life. I'm passionate about bridging the gap between user needs and emerging technologies such as AI by innovate and define new experiences. And in my spare time, I also enjoy oil and acrylic painting, cooking, ceramics, and travel, and really get my hands dirty whenever there's an opportunity for creativity. And today I want to share with you all my career journey, my experiences in the past, things I work on presently, and also future opportunities and insights I have gained in the process that you may find helpful today. So now let's turn the clock back to the mid-90s. I was raised in Beijing in a typical Chinese household, and my mom was an architect, and my dad worked as a creative director at a advertisement agency. So growing up around their projects, I naturally developed a very deep passion for creativity. So starting with pencil sketches, I used what was available to bring my ideas to life. I really enjoyed anime and cartoon, so it led me to fill sketchbooks with like original scenes featuring my favorite characters. And by fourth grade, I actually branded my hand-drawn manga and sold several copies to my classmates. I just hope the jaw-dropping $3 price tag is not going to cost me any tax problems. But this stays between us. And then the desktop computer from my dad actually opened up a whole new world. I'm no longer limited to the traditional tools like pencils and erasers, but instead, digital tools was my new best friends. So trying to find the perfect layout, painting in different layers, searching for the perfect font, I have done it all. But when I was willingly and happily had my first all-nighter for poster design just to make sure everything looks perfect in my eyes, I knew I had found my passion and my playground, a place where I could let my imagination run wild and really enjoy every single second of the creative process. But with an education system that placed a very high value on science and efficiency, I was constantly reminded that my passion for design was not really a priority. And it has becoming more and more challenging to learn about design systematically when there's no in-person resources in China. So with a leap of faith and a heart full of hope, I chose the Design Media Arts program at UCLA for my college. So I flew to LA with 3 suitcases and a dream and really had no contacts, no accounts to my name, and not even a cell phone plan. So the unknown was pretty daunting, but at the same time, electrifying, because I know it was here that I could dive into the field of design and nurture the flame for creativity. And the program at UCLA actually turned out to be even more fascinating than I imagined. So as a public university, it gave students unique opportunities to explore diverse creative projects. For instance, like editorial design, where the class can collectively learn about designing books and layouts. I learned how to create visually appealing compositions, balanced text with images, and creating a cohesive theme that just ties different stories together. Also, in the animation class, I learned how to create animated environment and bring stories to life from 0 to 1. And studying alongside with some of the currently world-renowned media artists like Rafik Anadol was really a dream come true. And for videography, I never thought I would be so interested in this medium previously until I started working on a short film where I got to experiment with different genres and styles. I got to wear multiple hats: producer, director, casting, cinematographer, post-production, sound effects, and the list goes on, and truly experience the world of filmmaking. And lastly, creative coding. So for the first time, I got my hands dirty with code and dove into the program named Processing, which is a creative coding program co-created by Casey Reese, and I had an opportunity to learn directly from him. So by encouraging multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary, UCLA really opened the doors where I didn't even know existed. Like, I still remember till this day that during the school orientation, the department director shared this message with all of us. There's no small project, treat every endeavor seriously. So since then, I've been holding this quote close to my heart throughout my journey. So by giving my all, not only did I build an impactful portfolio at the end of my study, but also discover hidden interests. And as you finish school and embark on the next journey, really remember that every project has an opportunity that matters. Especially during college, one of the projects could potentially become a pivotal moment for your creative journey. And as I delved deeper into my study, I felt a yearning for something more. Like that's when I found myself drawn to the unique and complex world of architectural design. I knew I had to learn more. And during my third year of college, I decided to sign up for a second major in architecture and even continue my learning in my graduate studies. And despite being outside my comfort zone, I really gained a new perspective on design through architecture. It revealed to me that design can be layered, it can be textured, and even evoke deep emotions, and really opening up a whole new realms of possibilities in my creative pursuit. But in this process, I have definitely started to experience challenges and self-doubt because of the complexity of the projects, as well as the intensity of the coursework. But those shared experiences actually build incredibly strong bond for all of us. And honestly, I wouldn't trade our midnight coffees or sleepless nights for anything else. So really get out of your comfort zone, go explore, be ruthless, and push your boundaries. Outside the comfort zone, we allow ourselves to find new perspectives, valuable lessons, meaningful connections, and really true transformations. And in architecture, there are so many things that you have to consider in your design, from 3D modeling to rendering, from history theories to policies. And as I started my graduate study at Harvard University, one thing that stands out to me is design technology. I have learned that with technology, the designers can be empowered to push the boundary of creativity even further. And as an artist and designer, I always thought of myself as someone who rely on visual mediums to express my creativity. And code may seem kind of inaccessible, but by building on top of my experience in creative coding during my undergrad study, I slowly transformed data and code into this new tool for me to express ideas in new ways. And suddenly the possibility really seemed endless. And with each new line of code, I unlocked a new depth of innovation and complex problems. For example, I can transform boring tables and numbers into an interactive and story-rich data visualization website that shows the impact of alcohol consumptions visually. And I can analyze and understand the information of intangible mediums like scent and physicalize them into delicious Japanese dessert that visually shows the distribution of different scent data. And I can transform architectural concepts into complex geometries and structural representations. And lastly, I could collect hundreds of image data and train a model and that generates new images that represents contemporary art. Does that remind you of something? Yes, that's AI. And this is actually way before the explosion of AI industry and before things got picked up exponentially. So by witnessing the potential of AI firsthand, my exploration in AI became unstoppable, from training custom models with DCGAN to develop a large language model interactive platform that detects emotions from text messages. I made the full commitment of pivoting my career path and pursuing future in technology, especially in AI. And as you can see, my career journey has taken multiple turns. And through my studies and various internship experiences, I was able to learn many transferable skills. More importantly, I discovered insights about myself, like what truly brings me joy, where my passion lie, and what piques my curiosity. So for our third takeaway today, I really encourage you to find your sweet spot, like the intersections of your passion and your skills, the things that you really enjoy and the things that you're good at. So the journey may not always be linear, but once you discover that alignment, it feels entirely natural. So all the work and experiences I accumulated has led me to where I am now, working at Adobe, focusing on generative AI. And some of you might be familiar with the terms like UX design or product design. At Adobe, we refer it to as experience design. And as an experience designer, I get to understand users' pain point and challenges and then work to bring forth solutions through digital interfaces. But at Adobe, our focus is on delivering AI-first user experience. And unlike traditional UX design, AI design leverage AI capability to empower existing user journey and identify new opportunities. So for example, we dive deep into understanding specific AI technologies and create design solutions that make them more interpretable and enjoyable for users. So ideally, we aim to create an ecosystem where design, technology, and users enhances one another. And I've been part of the team building Adobe Firefly website from the ground up and deliver several features, including text image, generated fill, generated recolor, and text effects. And I also collaborate closely with other product teams such as Photoshop and Express for Firefly features. And my primary focus has been around imaging and image editing. In the Firefly site, you can experience the text to image module. And during the design process, we focused on providing user autonomy, making sure the experience is actually accessible to all skill levels. So by displaying style options in corresponding categories and accompanying each option with a thumbnail, encourage the user to experiment and take ownership of their experience. And I also always like the quote, the uncertainty of the future is the canvas for you to create. Although AI may be the talking points today, but it might be different in the next 3 to 5 years. And I hope by looking forward for future opportunities, you all will be able to stay one step ahead. And now let's talk a little bit about the future. And these are some of the things I learned in the process, and I hope by sharing these tips today, like they may be able to help you to find the next opportunity and carve your own unique path. Like, don't follow a trend, define it, break it, expand it. It could be easy to get caught up in what's popular and what everybody else is doing, especially thanks to social media. But sometimes it's really about finding your niche and figure out what sets you apart. So instead of jumping on the latest bandwagon, like really focusing on what makes you and your design unique. And also break the rules, twist the rules, and make it your own. And because innovation can truly start when you push beyond the status quo. Be ready to pivot. And as you saw my career journey, like I have made several pivots, and those pivots could be as simple as a focus change or as drastic as relocation. So whether it's about learning a new tool or trying out a different design approach, adaptability could be your best friend. Expand your tool set. So don't be afraid to try something new and acquire a new skill, because you never know when it's going to turn out to be useful. So tools like 3D rendering or creative coding, it wasn't like immediately useful for my current work, but then later it came in handy when I expect them the least. And accumulate projects and experience. Remember what I mentioned earlier? There's no small project. So dive into as many projects as you can, whether they're school assignments, a volunteer gig, or a personal project. I have found by accumulating this project, I feel more comfortable with my skill, but also have a fully ready, prepared portfolio when I'm ready to apply for grad school or for job search. And fail and start again. I cannot stress enough like the importance of failure. And when things don't work out, figure out what went wrong, what was missing, and then learn from it and take actionable steps to jump back in. And experiment. Like probably many of you could resonate that sometimes the best design often come from unexpected places, especially for emerging industry and technologies. Experimentation is critical. So when a new machine learning model is available, I want to get my hands dirty by testing its limit and observe what are the opportunities I could bring through that feature. And lastly, cherish your crew. Surround yourself with people who inspire and challenge you. They could be your friends, family, fellow designers, mentor, and sometimes even strangers online. And I won't be who I am today without those around me. And not to mention, a journey is easier and more fun when you're with others. And design is an exciting and ever-evolving field. I hope you learned something today, and you're more than welcome to reach out to me for more questions. Thank you.
Wow. Those were two incredibly amazing stories filled with like so much innovation, inspiration, and twists and turns. So thank you so much, Kelly and Veronica, for sharing those. Let's get into the questions. First, I want to talk about parents. And I'd love for each one of you to talk about your parents. What were their views on design or creative careers? Were they supportive? Were they critical? Kelly, why don't you go first?
Yeah, so my parents, my mom's a postpartum doula, and then my dad works for AT&T. So they both have very like grounding careers. My mom works with babies. My dad works with phone lines, literal
Yeah.
phone lines. So a creative career was new to them. I did have to kind of pitch it to them. And then my dad came with me to a presentation about the interaction design program at ArtCenter, and he got to meet the department chair, and it was through her that he was convinced, because she had this whole career in UX when it was just beginning. She like designed some of the first ATM interfaces. So I think hearing from someone that was like around his age that had a career in this industry actually helped to convince him that it was like a viable option for me and not just like the dream of an artist.
Right. How about
I
you,
think
Veronica?
for me, like one of the memories that I still remember it today is when my mom bring all the blueprints of a building back home and start sketching on the desk. And I was always curious about like what she's doing. And of course, she has been a huge inspiration for me to get into architecture in the first place. And for my dad, he's just like, he look at news and he's like trying to stay up to date on what's happening, whatever that's happening in the industry. So even like till today, sometimes he sent me a message of, oh, did you see that happen? Are you working on it? Like what are the latest innovation that you can actually bring forth through your work and your experiences? So they both of them are super creative people. And I think, just really learning by example.
And then you made the big leap, Veronica, to go from Beijing to America because you thought that was going to be perhaps a better environment for you. Was that a tough decision to make? And
I mean, definitely, it's a completely different environment. Like I know nobody, and like I mentioned earlier, I don't even have a bank account when I came over here. But I do, what I do know is like here there are just like so many resources, so many opportunities that wasn't really available like many years ago when I first started my college journey. And also it wasn't really encouraged. So at school, like whenever you're earning a really high score in math or history, and that will get you ahead compared to creative fields like music and arts. And I do always feel like America is a good place for that, and that's why I came here.
Mm-hmm. And Kelly, you made a pretty big jump going from LA to Detroit. What was that experience of going to a completely different city? And
Yeah, that was hard for me. I have my whole family lives in LA, and so moving to a new city, which is extremely cold, was very very difficult for me to make that leap. But I saw a career opportunity that I didn't want to pass up, and I'm so glad that I did that, because if the whole path led me to where I am now, which is a really great place. And I also, Detroit's actually a really cool city I discovered once I moved here. So I'm happy about it now. But when I landed, there was a snowstorm and I felt immediate regret.
I want to talk about like the interaction or working with different types of design besides kind of UX UI. So when you were in Detroit, when you were working with Ford, you're working with product designers, automotive designers, a lot of different types of design fields. What was that like?
Yeah, that's really interesting. So I think with automotive specifically, they work on a very different timeline. So there are the car designers who are designing the body of the car, or the interior of the car, and then we're working on the screen, but we also need certain aspects to be included in the body of the car for some of the technology in the screen to work. So this is kind of rare, because with UX design, usually you can design something, release it within a couple of months and see how it goes. But when you're working on the timeline for a vehicle, you have to have that thought out 2 years ahead of time. So working on that timeline was different, and also working for a very traditional design organization from a very old company was interesting as well.
I'm going to jump over Veronica. As of course, your mom was an architect, so you had that bit of background. And knew
I
that
had
might
no
be something.
options.
You had to follow that path. But what was that experience for you? Beginning to kind of like go from interactive design, all the different types of design that you experienced as an undergrad, to shifting towards architecture, which it sounds like you actually did that shift while you were at UCLA, beginning to explore architecture there.
Yeah, so they actually offered a summer program for architecture. And I know my mom has been in the field for a long time, even though like sometimes her work-life balance hasn't been the best. But, I just want to try it out. And I also always heard like, how architecture is this perfect marriage between art and science. And that always interests me. So I participated in that program. And honestly, the reason I chose to do the program is really because like in that whole process, I felt like I was being challenged. I felt like I wasn't good enough, but at the same time, I know there's an opportunity there's more room for improvement. And that's when I decided to, pursue architecture. But I do think like there are a lot of like similarities between interaction designs in general and architecture. But architecture just really helped me to think about design through so many different layers. And even like the philosophy itself, it was like really inspiring.
You made the leap back. You went into architecture, and then you made the leap back into interactive design again. Do you have any peers from or other architecture majors who made that shift into interactive?
Actually, many. Like even till today, I was like reached by some of my colleagues, and they're saying, "Oh, what's your suggestions?" And I think I guess like in terms of advice, preparing your portfolio and identifying those transferable skills between architecture and interaction design is like super critical. And I think usually you can only take one step at a time. But I do see like in terms of things related to technology, there's just a huge future ahead of us.
Cool. Now I'm going to talk about a tough topic, disappointment. Because Kelly, one thing that I think was really important in your story was that there were a couple points where you hit some barriers, you hit some roadblocks, you hit some moments of disappointment. What did you do at those times to like kind of like steer out of it?
Yeah, I think during those moments, the thing that was most helpful for me was trying something new. So kind of saw that when I was studying biology, but I took some elective classes and I sort of started to follow my heart because I was really being drawn to art and design. And so just really like expanding all my interests. And I wasn't just taking like biology and design, I was also doing history or, experimenting with different types of things and to figure out what I liked because I think that like one of the things that I talked about was the transformative power of redirection. Like you actually have this big opportunity to make a change in your life that could be really great for you. So you have to try to see it as a positive, even though it is a really hard thing to experience.
Veronica, along that path that you took, were there any moments of disappointment or any moments where you had to like, okay, time to redirect?
Oh, yeah, definitely a lot. I think just shifting from studying architecture on the West Coast to the East Coast, I think in general, the pedagogy was pretty different, like in terms of what kind of things they focus on, in architecture education. So like when I moved to the East Coast, it was like a big shock. And like, honestly, we spend more time reading paper and learning about like the philosophies and more than the actual design. And I think like that's when it starts to make me feel like I wasn't feeling fulfilled. And also like sometimes the coursework, it was just like super intense. And I still got like some of the reminders from Instagram telling me, oh, this is what happened like X years ago. And that was a photo that I took at 3 a.m. when everybody was at school. And I was like, that's a memory I'm going to cherish forever, but am I going to do it again? Probably not. So that's just like that experience, but also, seeing like how my colleagues, perspective change, impacted my decisions quite a lot.
Now I'm gonna follow up with one question. I want both of you to kind of look into the future a little bit because both of you are working in aspects of GenAI, and what I'd love to know, and whatever you can share, how do you see GenAI affecting the design process? So if you're from the perspective of a student who is considering design school right now, or considering like a career in UX or UI design or any aspect of design, what are some of the things that you see around around GenAI that you would want them to consider?
I can say that, so I teach a college course in web and UX design. And one of the first lectures I give is about like hard skills versus soft skills. And for me, I think in the future, it's going to be really important as AI starts to streamline a lot of things and make like tedious tasks a lot easier, a lot faster. It's going to be really important for designers are those soft skills. So being able to look into the future and see, what technologies you can harness to create new products, being able to strategize, being able to work across disciplines and collaborate really well. I think all of those soft skills are what you should focus on. Of course, you still need your toolkit of design skills and design process, but making sure that you can be more of a leader and focus on growing your creative brain. I think that will be really valuable.
Great. How about you, Veronica?
I think one thing I kind of also talked about it earlier, which is like coming forward and future back. I think it's really important to, just like put yourself out there and try to investigate what's happening in the field. And I think like different from like a few years ago, like right now, internet is such a great tool for many of us. And there are so many free online resources that, like I said, you can get your hands dirty and testing like the code or testing the models yourself, or it doesn't have to be related to AI, but any, emerging technologies. Test it out and see how you can apply that kind of workflow in your process. And usually like new workflows and emerging, processes can be emerged through that process.
Fantastic answers. And thank you so much for your stories today, for this conversation, for all the time and thinking that you put into this. And I just want to also thank you so much to the AME Institute for sponsoring this series with us. This has been really exciting for all of us to be able to talk about design career pathways, talk about all the different ways that people discover design and what happens after they find, how they begin their adventure in the career. And so hopefully everyone who's been watching these, whether it's like streaming today or in the future, you get some meaningful things out of this. We're really looking forward to coming back next year with another season of inspiring and kind of innovative design career talks. And that's about it for today. But really quickly, I just want to thank Ashley Adams for sponsoring this whole thing, Jesse Vacchiano, who is our behind-the-scenes director of the whole session, and Lisa Petit, who has coordinated and made all this possible. So thank you, everyone, all the behind-the-scenes people, and thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We really appreciate, thinking about design and kind of watching this whole series. So have a great summer, everybody, and we will hopefully see you again next fall.
Thank you.